Welcome back to Just Crafting Around. Today we are going to be making some Easter decorations. We have our branch that we have, and we are going to be making some decorations, and we are going to be putting them on our branch. So to get started, some items I will just tell you about and how I made them, and the other items I will show you how I made them. First of all, I had purchased some just plain wood eggs. They're not, they've got the details and stuff to them. I like what the wooden stuff colored looks like, so I am not going to take these and paint these. I'm just going to use them to hang on the branch just for a decoration. The other thing that I did was I took a piece of wood, and this is pallet wood, as you can see, and I'm going to show you how I did this. I took some burlap and put it on here. I stenciled the bunny on there, and then I used some of this here, some of the felt pieces for the bunny's tail. Next go around for this, we're going to make an egg and put it on here. For the spring sign, what I did was just took some plain old wood like this, just the plain color. You can buy this at Hobby Lobby, Bismarck. You can buy it at Michael's in Bismarck. You can order it offline. Different places where you can get this. Joann's Fabrics at Bismarck as well. I found the word spring that I really liked. I then went and I like the font of it. I then went and have the gel mat. I printed it out, I inverted it so it would show that it was backwards, put some of this on, then I went and put the sign on. You're supposed to wait 12 hours to 14 hours. You take it, you damp wipe it, and softly as you rub it, it takes the paper off and actually leaves the ink on it. Again, be very gentle when you do that. I then took a stencil and I stenciled two different colors of a flower on here. This is supposed to be a flower. And then I took some ribbon, some really springy looking ribbon. I drilled 3 holes, one in the middle, 2 on the outside, and then I wrapped the ribbon on here, and this again will be hanging from the branch. What we did here was, this is just a teardrop. It's just a plastic open, just for something to give color. I threw some jelly beans in here, and again, just something to hang when we want to put something like this on the branch, just to give color. Again, what I did for this is a canvas piece. I went into Microsoft Word and I wrote down the things that I love, the things that I love about Easter and the things that I love about spring. Again, I inverted the words. I took the gel medium that transfers the words. I spread it out onto the small canvas. This is a 4x4 canvas. I spread it out, put the picture over the top. This one I waited 14 hours with. Once it was done, I gently wet it, rubbed it off. I let it set for it to completely dry. Once it completely dried, it had a cloud look over it, a cloudy look. I then took a little bit of water again, and I took a damp rag, wiped it very gently. Once I was done with that, I then took the spray, and this is acrylic spray, clear acrylic. This is the matte finish. Again, you can get this at any craft place. I believe also if you go into the crafts section of Walmart, you can also find a lot of things in there. So I took this, I sprayed with this craft spray, and now this is also what we're going to take. And we're going to hang with a leather strap. I'm using different kinds of things to hang them with. We've got burlap, we've got ribbon, and this here is just a shoelace. So we're going to hang it with a leather shoelace. I've got a couple more things here to show you about. Bought some of these. These are just plain little light bulbs that go into a nightlight. I took them and painted this one orange. Then I took some yarn, green yarn, wrapped it around, took and used the hot glue gun to hot glue it on here, and then I gave it a little topper like this. So we're going to do that, and I will show you, we're going to make this one into a little chick. You can take these, and I've seen them hung where you can do bunnies, because that's why I bought the white, so that if I wanted to do an Easter bunny, I didn't have to paint it because it was already white. You can buy the clear or you can buy this. It took me, with the acrylic paints and stuff that I use here, it took me 3 coats to get it coated really nice. Once I'm done drawing on it, once I was done with it, again, use the acrylic spray. The acrylic spray will keep it from chipping. Okay, so we're gonna work on making a little chick. Then I wanted to make something for my granddaughters that was a little bit different. So I found these plastic eggs like this. They're just plastic that you can open them up. And I made a little chick for one of them. Got the eyes, bought those also. You can buy these in different sizes. Bought some of the foam. You get foam in big, with the different colors, but lots of different colors on there. 2 sheets of each color. I cut out the little beak and I cut out the little legs. I hot glued the legs to the bottom, hot glued the nose on, and hot glued the little eyes on. Then I took a cutter, I cut off 2 pieces of pipe cleaner. I doubled them like this, and then I stuck them in the holes, which then I can take and I can bend either which way that I want to make it look like his little furry head is standing up on end. So we made a little duckling. Okay, let's get started. What I did is, to save a little bit of time, I took a piece of wood, and again, this is pellet wood. I wanted to give it a little bit of a texture and a little bit of a look. So what I did was we purchased the Tim Holtz stencil. This stencil is lace, so it's the color of lace. I took it, I put the lace down, I went outside and I spray painted it white because I wanted it to have something a little softer in the background. Now what I want to do is I cut out a piece of burlap like this, and I cut it out to fit so that it would fit on here, and yet with it fitting on here, I want to leave the room, a little bit of room on the sides. But now I also want to fray this a little bit. So what I'm going to do with the burlap is I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull the ends, and it frays very, very easily. In fact, it frays a little bit more than what I wanted to at times, because when you cut it, it's kind of a mess and it frays itself. So once I've got it frayed the way I want it to, we'll pull 1 more piece on each end. I try to pull, if I pull 2 pieces from the top, I want to pull 2 pieces from the bottom. And what we're going to do a little bit differently here compared to what we did here is I'm going to color this all pink. What I did was I found which egg I wanted to use, and I don't want to use one that I have to cut out 10 different ways to try to get the different colors, because I am going to color this all pink. Now if I wouldn't do it and I would do something as simple as this, of course, then I could just take this and put it over the top and not worry about it. But being I'm using 2 different colors on here, I'm going to have to, I printed it twice, and then I cut out the pieces that I wanted to use as my stencil. Okay, so let's begin. I'm going to take some wax paper. Always use wax paper on your tables whenever you're doing any kind of stenciling, any kind of painting, to save on the wax paper. Then what I'm going to do is take a sip of coffee. Don't forget the coffee. We're going to get started. I'm going to do this in a pink color. I like the dark pink. I'm going to shake that up pretty good. And what I do is I just put a blob right on the wax paper. I'm going to take my Stampler brush. As you can tell, the brush that you use for stenciling is different. It is a harder bristle brush, and usually it's rounded like this. Harder bristle brush to use because you want to be able to stamp the paint in. So we're going to take that and we're going to begin. I'm going to stamp it, and then in between we're going to let it dry real good. Once the burlap has dried real good, then we're going to go over it with our next colors for our egg. I'm not going to put this on the wood right away because I want to not get the wood all full of the pink color. And you just keep stenciling and putting it in. Now when you stencil and you use anything like this, take the brush, your stenciling brush, load it up really well with the paint, and then dab it. Because you don't want too much of the paint on there or your brush very full when you go to do the stenciling part of it, even when you're coloring the burlap. Now, there are many, many different colors of burlap that you can get. I just so happen to have some laying around and I wanted to use up this color burlap, but you can find pink burlap if you wish in any craft store. Again, you can go to any craft store and they would have pink burlap, they've got blue burlap, you can find it online. Now that we've completed painting our burlap pink, we're going to put it to the side and let it dry. Put our brush in some water here, some nice warm soapy water. And we're going to work on another little craft project until we are done with that, till we can go back again. Like I said, we're going to be covering this egg 2 different times because I want to use 2, it's actually going to have 2 different colors. We're going to use this and we will color with this. Okay, put this to the side, put this to the side because we won't be using the pink for this anymore. Now let's see if we can work on our little, so here is going to be our little check.
Sign up for HD or DVR from Valley this month and receive 2 months free and free installation. Call us today at 437-2615. You don't want to miss out on this offer.
Okay, what we're going to do with this is we're going to make a little duck face on here. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to cover this up, this part right here. I could take some paint and paint it yellow, but I want to have a little bit different texture on it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue. Hot glue leaves these strings that I just hate. I'm just going to put a little dab on the bottom here. And then I'm going to start wrapping the yarn around it. And when we're done wrapping the yarn around it, we want to give it a little bit of a fluffy for the hair look on it. We want to kind of make it stand up a little bit. So we're going to see if we can do that. I'm just going to wind this around. When I get to the top, I'm going to hot glue it on the top as well. Cut it off and put a little bit of hot glue on there. We're going to see about making a little hair piece for it. And then I'm going to wrap it coming back down again. And I'm going to find where I put my first dab of hot glue, which is right here. So I'm going to cut this off once I get to the bottom. So now I've wrapped up to the top and then I wrapped back down to the bottom again. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of hot glue, put it on there. The thing about hot glue is it's hot. Burns my fingers. When I do crafts and I use hot glue, I burn my fingers at least once, if not twice, during the process. It's going to leave a little strings, and once it dries real good, you can go over it with your finger or an X-Acto knife and take off some of it a little bit if you want. Don't take off too much or it's going to unravel it. Okay, so now we're going to make a little bit of hair, and we want it to stand up a little bit. Just going to keep going with this yarn, snip it as we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it long enough. take pieces like this. I'm going to make it long enough because I want it to go over the top of it, but what I'm going to do then is snip it as I go along and make it a little bit shorter. But you can always make things shorter, you can't make them longer. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie these together so it stays together once I have enough cut off. Now as you can see, I've got 3 strands. I'm going to keep going because I want quite a few of them, because I want to show that he's got like a bushy little top. Plus I want to cover up the top of this. So I'm going to keep measuring. If a little bit shows through on the top, that's not a big deal. You can always take some more yarn and go around it, whatever you find that you've got missing. And we can take care of it that way. Now with these little bulbs, you can make like a little banner. You can take them and tie them together, and you can go, you can put them along the front of the table, you can put them by your window, you can do different things with them. I've got about 10 strands of yarn like this that I'm going to use. I'm going to take it and I'm going to tie it just a little ways on here. So I'd say nothing more than probably about that much sticking out, because this is what I'm going to hot glue to the top. I'm going to take it and tie it with another piece of yarn, same color.
Valley Telecommunications, the home team advantage.
Okay, so this is what our little yarn thing looks like. And you may have a better way of doing it, and that's fine. I've got about 10 pieces, like I said, of the yarn. I came down about this far. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to kind of go towards the middle, spread this out a little bit. I'm going to hot glue it right in the middle, and I'm going to take this in the middle, and I'm going to put it over the top just like a cap. A little bit of glue there, a little glue here. I'm going to hold it on for a little bit until I know that it's dried pretty good. Ouch. Once I see that it's dried, it doesn't stick to your fingers, and I'm going to put it down like this. We're going to cut off some of the straggly hanging down here. Of course, we're going to cut off some of this here too, because this is too much hair for a little chick. Like I said, I do see some coming through here, and that's fine, because we can also wrap it with a little more yellow yarn if we want to. I'm going to hot glue a few of these down now. After I've cut some off, you can cut them a little shorter. Kind of look at it, see what you like. I actually bring a couple of these down that I didn't cover up very much. I'm gonna hot glue them on there. Go. It'll look a lot better once we get a face on here. We can let his little hairs hang down. Like I said, we're going to trim them as well. Put a few down, put a few up, make them look crazy. Okay, we're going to put this to the side. We're going to let this dry a little bit, and we are going to go back to our other project that we are working on right now, which is our pink project with our egg. Okay, we've got that far, and now we are going to take one of our other stencils. Like I said, we've got 3 different things that we want to do. First of all, I want to use the color, the main color of the egg I want to use for this. So I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to decide what color I want to use on here now. Color that I'm going to use is green eggs and ham. No, we're not going to use that one. I think what we'll do is blue. I really like this blue. This blue really shows up nice. So we're going to take the blue. Get our brush clean. So, get our brush cleaned off. Let that dry a little bit. And now we are going to take some of the blue paint. And I'm going to take a little bit of the painter's tape, and I'm going to tape it down. I want to tape it down so that it doesn't move. I'm going to kind of find where I want it in the middle, so that when we take it and we put it on, it is in the middle. Painter's tape is really nice to use for this because it comes off very easily, but yet it holds on very good. And I'm putting it on all sides as well, just in case I happen to get off the ends here, that it goes onto the tape and doesn't go onto the burlap. So I'm taping down all 4 corners is what I'm doing. Okay, the reason why I'm going to paint in the inside and paint the whole egg is because I want the egg to be a different color than the burlap, so that you can see that it is oval. Okay, so again, with your brush, we're going to load it up really good with the paint, and we're going to dab it onto the wax paper here. Then we're going to dab it onto the wax paper and get rid of some of the paint that's on there. And now we're going to get started, and we are going to, again, push pretty hard. We are going on the burlap, and it is covering up the pink, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. And again, this is just with the stenciling part of it. What the stencil is just a harder paper than your regular paper that you use to print on. So it is printing paper. It is just a heavier paper. Cardstock paper, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. And again, like I said, this is going to go into some steps because now we have to let it dry again. Okay, that looks pretty good. Put it back in there. This is what it looks like. Now we'll take our stencil off. So slowly take it off. And here's the egg shape so far. Okay, and again, like I said, we're going to put that to the side because we want to add a little bit more color to it. If you want to, you can save this. And again, it is nice to save, and it's nice because this kind of tape you can just peel right off, and you can reuse the stencil again if you'd like. Let it dry. Then we're going to overlap the stencils. So we're going to take another color when the blue dries, and we are going to overlap one more time with a different color. And then we're going to make these. And then we'll be done. So we actually are going to use two different stencils. First we colored the burlap, then we stenciled our main color here, and then we're going to come back and we're going to use a different color here. Okay, set this to the side, let it dry. Burlap does not take long to dry. When you paint, it does not take long to dry. The reason is because I think the burlap is so dry to begin with, the fabric, that it just soaks everything right up. All right, now this is dried, where we've done our egg. We've got one more stencil to put over the top of this and paint one more color, and then we're done. So we're going to get to that. We're going to line it up as carefully as we possibly can, and then again we're going to take some painter's tape and we're going to put it over it so that we don't so that it's firm and it's still, so that we don't move it and smudge a bunch of stuff up. Now that we've come this far and we've put two colors on it already, this is going to be our last color, and I am going to tape it down on the four sides again. And again, I used an inkjet printer to print them out, or a laser jet printer. I measured them first, I resized and resized and resized again, just to make sure that they were going to fit on here the way I wanted them to. And once we were done, we started our process. Okay. Now, we've got it masked down pretty good with painter's tape. As you can see, our stencil is on here. Now we are going to decide what color we want to use. I think I'm going to go with the green. I like the blue and the green color together. And of course it's summertime, along with it being Easter early this year, so I want to use bright colors. And for once, we are not going to be distressing anything. I know you guys find that hard to believe because that's all I do is distress. But for the first time, we will not be distressing. Again, load your brush with the paint, dab it out on the wax paper because you don't want to have too much paint on your brush. So we're going to dab it out, and then we're going to start placing it in here. And the green is really looking nice on this. And like I said, with burlap colors, it doesn't take very long and it's dry already. You can pick up that paint when you loaded your brush. You can pick up that paint again and use it over here on the side instead of loading from the new again, because a little bit of paint goes a long way. It was a lot easier when I did the bunny, because of course it was only one color, so that was easy enough to do. Load up our brush. We have one more section here. And then we will have completed the egg part of it. I love Easter egg dyeing, and I really do love Easter. Easter is one of my favorite times of the year, because then we know, number one, spring is right around the corner. I love to dye Easter eggs. I love what the meaning of Easter actually is. And I love to see my granddaughters' faces when they find their Easter baskets. Okay, we are now done with that. As you can see, I stenciled the green. So now we've got pink, we've got blue, and we've got green. And let's unveil the product. If there's anything that you need to touch up, you can touch it up at that time. And now we have the green. So we have the pink burlap, we've got the blue egg, and then we've got the green going around there. There's some places that are blue on the edge here that I'm just going to touch up a little bit with the green paint, because we didn't get the egg just perfectly matched on there. We got really close, but not perfect. We still see some blue on a few of the corners. If it's not done up that bad, I wouldn't go in and try to worry about it, but I do have a couple of them here that I want to grab, so easy enough to do. Make sure your brush is nice and clean. I know I get this big pack of brushes, and my husband always says, well, why don't you only use 2 out of them? Why don't you use the rest of them? I find a brush I like and I pretty much stick with it. So that's my brush story. Okay, I'm going to get some of the parts that I think should be a little green compared to the blue. And again, wouldn't have to. That was sure easy enough. Let's hope this next part goes just as good. Burlap is somewhat of a forgiving fabric. I don't particularly like the smell of the burlap, but I like to work with it. Other than it does unravel quite pretty good. I mean, it will unravel if you're not watching and you're not careful with it. One more little spot, and then we're going to let this dry. And then what we are going to do with it is we are going to hot glue it on a piece of reclaimed wood from a pallet. There. And we've got all the edges. Kind of looks like a map. And again, what's nice about this painter's tape is you can take it off and you can reuse your stencil if you want to use it again. Now I just made the stencil again out of cardstock paper. That's all I did, cut it out. The nice thing to do is when there was places like this here to use an X-Acto knife, and I'm looking for my X-Acto knife on the table here, but what's good about it is to use an X-Acto knife to get into these little crevices, because it's very hard to get into with a big scissor. So again, if you don't have an X-Acto knife, I would suggest getting one like that. Now we are going to finish up our little chick. We need to put eyes on here. What we're going to use that I found works pretty good for that is the back of your paintbrush. We're going to dab it in some black paint. We're going to let the black paint dry, and then we're just going to take a little bit of white and we're going to dab it in the middle to make it look like the eyes. But I'm not sure what size I want to use, so I have a couple different sizes here of paintbrushes, and I am going to try those out. Okay, we are going to use the white first. We're going to do a couple dots on here for the eyes, and then we're going to have to set it to the side and let it dry. And while we're waiting to let it dry, we are going to cut a triangle for the beak out of this. To make them just a little bit bigger. We want this chick to have nice big eyes, or bigger eyes anyway. Okay. And then we'll put a little, once it dries, the paint dries, we will take a different dabber. And we'll put some black in there. Looks kind of crazy right now with his hair up like that, but it'll get better. So we are going to set him to the side. Looks like a crazy man. Set him to the side. Okay, now we are going to take our egg with our burlap. I'm going to take that and we're going to hot glue it on here. Hot glue it onto our wood. I'm going to put some dots in each corner that's not afraid of hot glue. I'm going to take it and put it in the middle. And we're going to hot glue, once we get it exactly where we want it, then we're going to hot glue the sides. Hold it and hot glue the sides here. Make it stay on pretty good. Oops. Grabbed something I didn't want. Now I got it hot glued to my hand. And let's try a little hot glue right there. And if you see any other parts that kind of stick up a little bit, like I've got one sticking up right here, I might just put a small dab of glue on there as well. Going to take a drill. We're going to drill a hole right here so that we can hang it. So that is what the egg looks like, and this is what the Easter Bunny looks like, all on pellet wood. The pellet wood that you find when you use the reclaimed wood like this, it's a very hard wood. It is not a soft wood. It's sometimes very hard to cut, and it's very hard to work with. Now, we're going to be back to our little chick. We are going to place the beak that we cut out, our little triangle from foam. I am going to put it on the wax paper, the hot glue, because it's too little of a piece, and I'm just going to take it and swipe it over the hot glue on the corner that I'm going to hot glue to that. So I'm just going to take it and go from one end to the other and just swipe it through the hot glue. And we will put it on the duckling. Just going to hold it on there for a little bit. There we go. I'm going to take an X-Acto knife because I've got the front part done, but now I need to get it on the one side. I didn't get it all the way over there. So I'm going to put a little bit of hot glue back on the paper. I'll take my X-Acto knife, grab a little bit of that hot glue, and glue this side of the beak over here. And we're going to hold it down. Give it a few seconds, let it dry, and then over to the other side. Got to be a little faster than that because the glue dries pretty fast. Hold that. Once we're done here, we're going to take the yellow paint and kind of go over what we've had to peel off with this a little bit. Retouch it up. And like I said, when we're done, we're going to spray it with the acrylic spray so that the paint doesn't come off anymore. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of the yellow paint and just paint around there. It's good to have a variety of this paint around and stuff in the different colors. It's always nice to have a bunch of different colors available. You just never know when you're going to be using like the yellows and the bright colors. spring, summer, you can use them for a lot of different crafts. Paint. What's nice too is that you can paint over the hot glue, over the glue. You can't see all your little mistakes you made unless you get up really, really close to it. And we'll let that dry, and then once that has dried, we'll give it one more little yellow coat.
Protect your investment with smart farm monitoring from Valley Telecommunications. Get video surveillance cameras for your home, shop, or barn. Sign up now and receive 5% off of Clear to Their cameras and 1 month free of off-site storage.
Valley Telecommunications, the home team advantage.
And now with a toothpick, I'm going to go into my black paint that I have here. And we're going to dab so that his eye, we've got some nice looking eyes here. And we're going to go back and touch up the little bit of yellow yet. And we're going to give him a haircut. Because he kind of looks like a crazy duck right now. Or a crazy chick, I should say. Okay, one more coat of a little yellow paint. Just take care of my little scratch marks. Hair or her hair. And here's our little duck made out of nightlight bulbs. So we've got a little duck and we have a carrot. Okay, we have one more thing left before we can start putting stuff on our branch, and that is to cut. To actually drill a hole into our piece of wood here with the egg on it. So I'm going to choose, really love this drill. I'm going to choose this bit. This is a nice drill because all I do is pull up on it, put it in and let it go, and it is in there. I'm going to take about what I think is the middle, and we are going to drill a hole in it, hold it down tight. I always take it then and I go through it a couple times just to make sure. There we go, looks pretty good. So now we are going to take our stuff over that we made, and we are going to take it over and we are going to hang it up on our branch. Here's our branch that we have hanging up, and with this branch what we do is whenever there is a holiday we make things for this branch, and that way we can always have a decoration of that holiday hanging up. So what I did was I did the sizing and stuff like this on here, and then I took a picture of it so that I would know and I could look back on that picture and see how it was hung up. I do that with a lot of my stuff. When I decorate, even at home, I will take a picture of it so that I don't forget how it was hung up. So we're going to have our I love you sign that we did. It's what I love about Easter and what I love about spring. My first one is, and I highlighted that in red, is I love family. So that one we're going to hang up right here. And again, we just use some leather strapping. Once you have these hung up, you can kind of look. I don't cut the strings and I don't cut stuff off right away because I want to look to see the lengths and stuff of how I have things hung up. Okay, that one I have put there. The spring one, I think what I'm going to do is I did have that hanging in the middle, so we will do that again in the middle. And like I said, if you want to, you can cut off the excess, or you can just leave it like that. See, these two are kind of hanging about the same length. This one here, the jelly beans, I'm going to actually take and hang by my spring sign. So I will just move this through here. And again, you can have your branch hanging on anything that you'd like. I just chose to use this. I like doilies and I like the different fabrics and the different older looking stuff. I'm going to hang this egg on the branch right here, on the end here. And I'm going to hang the bunny right here, and I think I'm going to hang him a little bit lower. Sometimes these things twist, you have to work with them to have them stay a certain way. And like I said, I don't take any of the excess off until I know for sure that this is how I want it to hang, because it will hang differently and it twists and it turns, and so you may have to play with it a little bit here. What I did with these two things is, again, I drilled 3 holes. I drilled one in the middle of each one of these, and then I took the burlap twine and I came in from both sides and met in the middle, as well as what I did here, to give it a kind of a little bit different look. With this one here, I'm going to take some of the hot pink and I'm going to use that to hang it with. So I'm just taking some yarn, some hot pink yarn, and I'm going to kind of stand back and take a look at it and see how I want to hang it. I want to hang it shorter than this right here. So as I'm looking at it, I know I want to come up shorter than this. Like I said, you change it. I'll stand back a little ways, take a look at it, see what you think. I try to make these look the same, and then in here, size it differently, because that's what gives it character. And by the time we're done, we should have some things on here for summer, and we should have some things on here for spring, and we also have some Easter things on here. And every holiday, like I said, you can hang things up. This can be your holiday board. And I think that looks about right. And there you have it. We have some Easter stuff up here. We have some spring stuff up here. Different kinds. Now, if you want, you can go along and cut off the excess that you have, or you can hang it lower, you can hang it higher. Stand back and take a look at it and decide how you want it. Again, thank you for tuning in to Just Crafting Around. Come back and visit us again next month. If you are interested in being a guest on Just Crafting Around, please give Lisa or myself a call at 437-2615. We will buy the supplies for you, and you can come in and show off your talents. Again, thank you for tuning in.